I used to believe time was patient. Not endless exactly, just forgiving. Like it would wait until I was ready. Ready to make the call. Ready to drive a little farther. Ready to say the thing that felt awkward, or heavy, or too emotional for a weekday evening. I told myself, later. Not out of neglect. Out of confidence. Confidence that the people I loved would still be there when life slowed down. When work eased. When energy returned. When the right moment arrived. I didn't rush, because I didn't feel chased. That's the strange thing about time when you're younger. It doesn't feel limited. It feels flexible. You assume there will always be another Thanksgiving. Another birthday. Another quiet afternoon when you finally sit down together and talk the way you always meant to. No one tells you that time doesn't disappear loudly. It leaves quietly. Through delays. Through postponements. Through the soft lie we tell ourselves. Nothing has changed. I remember conversations I planned to have. Not arguments. Not confrontations. Just conversations. The kind where you say, I appreciate you. Or, I didn't always understand you. Or, there are things I never asked, and I wish I had. I carried those conversations around like unopened letters. They felt safe there. Preserved. Waiting. I didn't feel urgency. Because love felt permanent. There were visits I postponed. Not because I didn't care. But because life felt busy in ordinary ways. Errands. Work. Weather. Fatigue that didn't seem important at the time. I told myself, I'll go next month. Or, when things calm down. Or, they know I love them. And they probably did. But knowing is different from hearing. And hearing is different from feeling it in the room. There were people I assumed would always be there. Not because they were young. But because they had always been there before. They survived illnesses. They survived hard years. They survived silence. So I assumed they would survive my delay. That's not arrogance. That's habit. We grow used to the presence of certain people the way we grow used to the furniture in our homes. We don't stop appreciating it. We just stop noticing it could be gone. Loss doesn't always arrive as tragedy. Sometimes it arrives as absence. A call you meant to return. A visit you meant to reschedule. A sentence that stayed in your throat too long. And then the chance passes. Not dramatically. Not cruelly. Just, permanently. When you reach a certain age, time changes shape. It stops feeling like a wide road and starts feeling like a narrowing path. Not frightening. Just clarifying. You begin to see how many moments were not lost to tragedy, but to delay. That realization carries weight. Not sharp regret. More like a quiet heaviness. The kind you carry without complaint. I think often about words that went unsaid. Not because they were difficult, but because they felt unnecessary at the time. We underestimate the power of unnecessary words. We assume meaning doesn't need repetition. But repetition is not redundancy. It's reassurance. I don't punish myself for those missed moments. That would be easy. And unfair. I lived as most people live. Assuming continuity. Assuming relationships exist on pause when unattended. They don't disappear. But they do change. And sometimes they end before we're done with them. There is a tenderness that comes with realizing this late. A gentler way of seeing your younger self. Less judgment. More understanding. You didn't know what you didn't know. You weren't careless. You were hopeful. Hope can be blinding that way. There are people I miss not because they're gone, but because I never showed up the way I meant to. The love was real. The timing was not. And now, with fewer tomorrows ahead than behind, I feel time differently. Not as pressure. As presence. Each moment feels heavier. Not with fear, but with meaning. I notice when I say, another day. I notice when I hesitate before reaching out. Not to correct myself. Just to recognize the habit. There is something quietly humbling about realizing that time doesn't wait for clarity. It moves whether we are ready or not. And yet, there is also mercy in this awareness. Because regret doesn't have to be sharp to be useful. It can be soft. It can simply sit beside us and remind us what mattered, even if it arrived late. I no longer believe time is patient. But I do believe memory is generous. It allows us to revisit moments with compassion. To forgive the younger versions of ourselves. Who believed later was guaranteed. There are still things I won't get to say. Still visits that will never happen. That truth is quiet, but real. I don't dwell there. I just acknowledge it. Because acknowledgement is lighter than denial. And perhaps the deepest lesson time offers us is not urgency, but awareness. Awareness of how easily love waits, and how silently opportunity leaves. I sit with that now. Not to fix it, Not to correct the past. Just to understand it. And sometimes, understanding is enough. So I leave this thought here. Unfinished. Unresolved. How many moments did we believe would return? Simply because they always had before.